Good morning. This is the Blaine's World webcast that can be found each week on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. You can also find us on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. And you get more information and listen to past shows and this show and future shows at our website, which is behind me, blainesworld.net. I'm your host, Blaine Greenfield, and I'm here in my Zoom studio in lovely downtown Fairview, North Carolina. Each week, we focus on positive news and information about people and organizations in both Western North Carolina and throughout the country. And toward that end, it's my pleasure to introduce Geoff Woliner. Is that close enough?
Close enough. You can call me whatever you want, Blaine.
Okay. And Geoff is founder and CEO of the Daily Stuffing and Winning Wit. And Geoff, you can feel free to wave to all your fans and friends who are watching this.
Mwah. I'll just blow you kisses. How's that?
Okay, even better.
I promise I'm not sick. You're not going to catch anything. There you go.
Good. Thanks, Geoff. Geoff, I should mention, is the founder and CEO of Winning Wit and the chief cook and bottle washer for the Daily Stuffing, a satire news site that aims to get the world smiling and again through a joyful essence. He's also the author of the Path to Perfectia series and founder of Tonga, a new sport that's sweeping the nation. I didn't know, sweeping the nation. Wow.
Sweeping the nation.
But I love what you said, Geoff. Great thing. You're not sure which nation, And toward that end, I have to jump right in. So I'm seeing him looking great, and I see a dartboard. And can I ask what the significance of that dartboard is?
Well, first and foremost, Blaine, you said that I'm looking great. That's the highlight of my day. It's not going to get better than this. It's probably the highlight of the interview. So I think we ought to just call it right now. And I just walk off stage left and call it a day. So thank you. It's very kind of you.
Sounds
good. The dartboard really is the essence of our game Tonga. So it starts right here with a pair of kitchen tongs, like any good game will. And instead of flipping the steak, what we're doing is we're taking a little plastic ball here and we're tossing it at this dartboard. The beauty of Tonga is you can toss anything you want at anything you want. I just happen to like this Velcro dartboard. But within the game, it's about consciousness and brain expansion. It's about finding your inner child. It's about being irreverent. So you come into the game with a Tonga name. So you're not allowed to play under your own name. You got to come up with a name. My name and moniker is Florida Man. So whenever I play, I wear this hat. And that is my Tonga character. I am Florida Man. You can be whoever you want to be. Your opponent gets to play whatever music they want while you're throwing it to distract you. They can make any noises they want to distract you. And the game just goes around in perpetuity. What also makes it fun is that, unlike, for instance, the college basketball tournament, which I love, by the way, which shrinks the teams as it goes on, Tonga begins with the World Championship and then goes to a Final Four and then an Elite Eight and then a 16. And it just goes on in perpetuity.
How'd you come up with the idea?
Honestly, one day I was talking to a friend of mine about how fun would it be to create an alternate football league where all these washed up NFL players got together, these washed up coaches, and how fun would it be to do a podcast? And then I realized, wait a second, if we do that, we're definitely going to get sued. So what's a better way to create a new sport that won't involve me getting sued, but it's going to be fun and irreverent and quirky. And then I'm in my kitchen and I see a pair of kitchen tongs, and then the light bulb went off and I said, that's the foundation for it. Let's rock and roll. And Blaine, from this point forward, we have clubs that have been established in New York, here in Virginia, in South Dakota, and it actually is starting to blow up. So we're having a ton of fun with it right now.
Well, we'll have to get together. I'll have to get together with my mutual friend and our mutual friend, Dawn Westmoreland, who kind of introduced us. And so we'll have to talk about forming a team with her. And you mentioned teams. So explain it. How big are the teams, or how do you form a team?
Well, here's the beauty of this sport. It's so unconventional that anybody can essentially make up the rules as they go along. And all you need fundamentally is one kitchen tong. That's it. And then you pick one thing and you throw it at one thing. And then your teams can go, you can go solo, you can go doubles, you can go 5-on-5, you can go 25-on-25 if you want. And then you can pare it down. If you lose, you can have a challenge. You could say, no, we decided we haven't lost. And then you put some action on something completely random. You say, okay, what's the daytime high going to be tomorrow? Forecast calling for 47. We'll put some action on the over. If we get the over, we get a rematch. And the game just keeps going.
Well, do you need, you have tongs there and you have some sort of board behind you. Do you need that?
Yep. All you need are the tongs. Everything else is negotiable. So there's no hard equipment like there isn't anything else. All you need are the kitchen tongs. And then anything else you can get your hands on. Now, we recommend something that will not cause any physical damage. That's very important. So like these little plastic balls right here are fantastic. They couldn't hurt a fly. So find something hollow, ideally, and then find something that it will stick to. Gotcha. So you can even have a poster that you custom create of some hilarious image. Because the idea of the game is just to laugh and have fun the entire time. So find something that'll make you laugh and maybe just put clear plastic tape on it and throw it there and create your own targets. Like if you hit the eyes of somebody on the poster, it's 20 points. And if you hit the arm, it's 10 points. And you change the points as it goes along. And the idea is you just continually co-create the game as you play it.
You're giving me an idea here, Geoff, which is, I guess, kind of a good thing. And that is, I'm not prepared to do this tonight, and you might not be either. But wouldn't it be cool if we could ever do this, or can you do this via Zoom? Have you ever done a Zoom game?
You can definitely have a Zoom game.
Have you ever done it?
Not yet. We're going to now because you planted the idea in me.
No, let's talk about it seriously. Remind me. I'm making a note on this. And we'll get Dawn involved and some other people conceivably. But wouldn't that be fun? Food for thought for you to actually show the game itself, because I'm kind of understanding it, but I don't really see it yet.
Right.
So if I saw it being played, I would get a better idea for it.
Yeah, we have a big Tonga game we're going to be playing here in Virginia with our club next week. So I'm actually going to be putting together a video for it.
Great.
Which will be on the Daily Stuffing site. We have a Tonga site, a Tonga page rather, on our Daily Stuffing site. It is the official game of the Daily Stuffing. So you can actually just check it out, folks, at home. It will be live in mid-April. You could just go to playtonga.com. You could also go to tonga.org. It'll take you right there. Or the worldtongafederation.com. That'll take you there too.
Could people be playing the game as they're watching it with you? Is that the intent?
You can play the game as long as you have a pair of kitchen tongs. You can play Tonga. The barrier to entry is extremely low.
And by the way, will you eventually be selling these kitchen tongs or personal autographed by you?
Well, if there happens to be a brand partner who's interested, you know where to find me. Let's rock and roll.
Think about that. Man, you got me excited, which is great. Let me ask you this, Geoff, in terms of you mentioning the couple of sites and things you're involved in. So how do people get in touch with you or find out more about this game?
Yeah, so they can reach me directly at Geoff@winningwit.com. So
okay,
it's
and spelled, yeah.
Yeah, it's Geoff. I know that's the first one.
Right.
So yeah, it's Geoff at, and that's the name of our company. It's Winning Wit. So it's WINNINGWIT.com. So just reach out, Geoff@winningwit.com. And if you're interested in learning more about Tonga, if you want to start a Tonga club where you are, reach out. We'll make sure you get all the rules sent to you. We'll make sure you're part of our family. We'll put you on our newsletter. We'll connect you with other grand Tongarians throughout the country and throughout the world. And we will build the empire together.
Now, you scared me a little bit about this game, though, that there are rules. I didn't know there are actual rules. By the way, now I see this as another marketing opportunity for you. We can also sell the official rules book, 400 pages, $50 for a pop or something. But I assume the rules aren't that large or that long. How long are the rules?
Believe it or not, we actually do have a rule book, and we actually got, believe it or not, we got the rules copyrighted last week, which was really fun. Just so we can have, this is what Tonga is. Now, the fun part about the rules is that within the rules, you can change the rules. It's almost like the Constitution, where it's a living, breathing document, and you can amend it as it goes.
We wish, we wish that. But so you get the rules, and you can then go from there as you want.
Absolutely. And all the rules the rules force you to deconstruct the rules. And that's the paradox of the entire game, in that you have to have a different name as you play. The game, you have to find a way for the game to keep going, because to play Tonga is to win. That's the essence of the entire game.
Do you need a hat for it?
You don't need a hat, but a hat is highly recommended. I cannot emphasize that enough. If you don't have a hat, you're missing out.
And again, just make sure I understand it. So if people tune in and you'll give me the date and time, all that stuff, they'll be able to be playing that night too, or they should just be watching it.
You can watch it, you can play it. We recommend that you play it. Tonga is a highly interactive game. It's not a spectator sport. Everybody plays. The barrier to entry physically is basically nothing. It's a very accessible game for anybody in any physical condition, of any age, of any ability. As long as you got those kitchen, and we're even talking, if folks happen to be paraplegic, they can still play. If they're quadriplegic, they can still play, because we are going to find something. We are going to trademark this thing. It is going to be a machine that throws the piece for you.
I love it.
With a Tom. So it doesn't matter what ability you have. We got you. Tonga is a home for you.
Well, again, keep in mind, if I can help you, I just love the concept. So keep me in mind on this. But let's go back a little bit then. So, Geoff, you grew up where?
I grew up in Queens, New York.
Okay, well, I'm from New York City, born, raised on Long Island, not too far from you. Freeport, then Lawrence, so I knew where Queens was. And when you were a kid growing up, Did you always know you wanted to be this funny, humorous kind of guy?
I wish.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I was the very how should I put this delicately? Head down, mouth shut, stay out of mind, stay out of sight kind. And that was a survival mechanism. And then once I was 18 years old, I saw this competition at Stand Up New York in the city, right on the
Okay, I
Upper
know it.
West
Sure.
Side. Yep, 78th and Broadway. And the competition was for the funniest person from Queens. Now, I grew up, watching all the greats, Rodney Dangerfield, Jackie Mason, and
Oh,
love
Jackie
these
Mason.
guys.
Yeah.
You could just put the schmuck like I love Jackie, all these the best, and I'm thinking I got to do something. So I get up on stage and I start writing some jokes, and I don't even know if I'm funny or not. But I write this one joke on the subway, and I'm like, all right, if this joke sticks, I might have a career here, and if not, I got my answer. So I get up on stage and I talk about this coffee shop that I went into. And I said, so I walked in the coffee shop the other day and I saw this menu item and it said Italian soda. And I asked the lady behind the counter, I said, excuse me, ma'am, what is an Italian soda?
Right.
She said, well, it's just like any other soda, except it wears black and lives in Staten Island. So at that point, I got a lot of laughs and people were loving it. I'm like, okay, there might be something
And
here.
by the
And
way,
then,
I see you're still wearing the same shirt.
same shirt. Why
Yeah,
change it?
all these years.
All these years, it ain't broke.
Right, exactly. So that started you off on a comedy career, or what was that all about?
Yeah, it did. And I ended up winning the competition, which Blaine, that blew my mind. I'm like, wait a second, me? Who am I? I'm an 18-year-old kid. And then but I won the competition. And then at that point, I just started performing all over the country and a few spots in Canada here and there. And then I just had a lot of fun with it. And then I found my voice. I created this character called Smooth Bob, who was like a Vegas loan shark gambler, hustler, getting talking a raspy voice like this, and he wore a leisure suit. And, it was
I
it was
can
a
see
whole
it.
shtick and it was great.
So you then, so at 18, now was that you, did you get paid for that contest?
I got paid in an article that they wrote about me in the Newsday. Actually, I got a full page feature. That was payment enough. So
I used to love Newsday. So that was the first time you appeared in public. What was your first paid gig? Do you remember?
first payment was in the beautiful city of Knoxville, Tennessee.
Okay, so that was a couple of years after you were
Yeah.
in Brooklyn. And so you then became, or you are, that's part of what you do, you're a stand-up comedian?
Yeah, it's funny. For about a decade or so, I just started traveling around with quote real jobs that I had, and I was moonlighting as a comedian. And then in 2011, I finally decided to make the leap and to start a business where I would write comedy for others. And the business was called Winning Wit. Now, it actually was born from a real life big fat Greek wedding. And I roasted the groom. And then afterwards, a friend of mine got up there and he gave a speech for the bride and groom, which was the most harrowing white knuckle experience this side of flying Spirit Airlines. And everybody said, Geoff, you should have written his speech for him because that was a calamity. And they were not necessarily wrong. But at that point, I said, well, wait a second now. And Blaine, you got your marketing hat on. I think, what if this is a business?
Right, right.
And it turned out it was. And then from that point forward, I've written over 10,000 wedding speeches for folks from all different walks of life. And then that grew into comedy roasts. I've written eulogies for folks. I've written victim impact statements in court. I mean, if there's something that needs to be written, I probably wrote it in the last 10 years and try to make it funny.
Interesting you say that about the eulogies. So I assume most of the stuff you do has a humorous slant to it?
Most of it, yeah. I'd say that 99.998%, but I get, these random gigs here and there. And somebody just wants it to be super serious. And I say that's not really my thing. And then they wave some money in my face and said, every man's got his price. Okay, what do you need? And
But it's not cool though, as you're saying, that, and I love your attitude on this, that anything could be fun or should be fun,
anything.
Well, I'll ask you, put you on the spot. Have you ever done a divorce party?
I have a few of them actually. Yeah, in Texas. They were all in Texas of all places. And I got to tell you, they were the most fun because Texans have a sense of humor like nobody else on this planet.
What's the most unusual party you've ever done something for?
Oh, that's a good one. There's a few of them that come to mind. One was an ice road trucker celebration up in Alaska. That was a hoot. And I'd never written for ice road truckers before. Didn't know a whole lot about it except for what I saw on the Weather Channel. And then here I am. And the cool thing about it, though, is that I send them all a questionnaire. They get it back to me, and then I learn everything about them. So now, basically, I always say, you guys ultimately are the butcher, and I'm just the chef. You give me all the raw meat, all the raw material. I'll season it up. I'll sizzle it. I'll cook it. I'll marinate it. I'll do the whole butterfly it, and I'll get it right back to you as a finished product ready to eat. So they have this questionnaire, and they're telling me about the nicknames they have for each other and the crazy stories they've had and this, that, and the other. And I've written stuff like pro wrestlers that have been really funny and NFL players, and they have wild stories. Woo, let me tell you.
So let me ask you this: as a writer of comedy, also, is this something you do every day? Like, do you wake up authors wake up in the morning, spend 3 hours. Do you do that every morning, right?
All throughout the day, my wife wants to kill me half the time because we'll be in mid conversation and she'll say something which will trigger something. I said, oh, and then she rolls her eyes like, oh, here he goes. I said, I got to do this because she's my muse and she'll tell me something. And then I say, oh, this is a great satire piece. And then I'll just write it and I'll post it on LinkedIn and I'll post it on Facebook and it'll just go. So we're creating the daily stuffing really to be a home of this satire, all kind of collated into one place.
Now, when you're writing, do you ever get like writer's block, or does it ever not flow for you?
It used to, and then I found a great way out of writer's block. So anybody listening here, if you ever have writer's block for anything, this is the simplest way to do it. Realize that the entire world is your muse. Get out of your own head about how it's supposed to sound, how it's supposed to be, what you think people want to hear, and just look around and walk around and immerse yourself in all the sight, sound, music, smell, everything. And then whatever you're the most passionate about that you interact with that day, just start writing about it. Don't worry if it's good. Don't worry if it's funny. Don't worry if it's insightful. Something that just tickles you about something you interacted with. It could be literally anything. Once you start writing about that, you'll unlock your heart center. And then from there, everything will start pouring in and the gold will start pouring out.
Excepting I'm a little disappointed in that answer, my friend, and that I set you up even better for this. The question was writer's block. Just play Tonga.
Just play Tonga.
Yeah, exactly.
And there it is. You don't got to do all that nonsense. Just play Tonga.
Well, the solution, that's really cool. So the key is, as you're saying, just start doing it, So back to the question. So do you get up in the mornings and start writing for 3 hours, or do you do that?
I don't actually. I write when it comes to me. So whenever the inspiration hits, I find that if I'm on any kind of a schedule or there's any kind of rigidity, then that's where my creativity goes to die. But I'll be mid-conversation and I'll try not to be rude, but I'll just say, just excuse me just for 5 minutes. I promise I'll be right back. I'm sorry. I hate to be that guy.
Well, teach me a little bit what you're doing, and I appreciate it. Do you then write it down? Do you record it? How do you keep track of all your thoughts?
Good question. And honestly, it depends on where I am. So if I'm in a situation where, honestly, half the time they hit me when I'm driving, so I can't write it down then. But what I do when I'm driving, and here's a fun little hack for all you who are driving, and if you have your phone mounted on this little magnetic thing,
right,
have a situation where you can very quickly go to your camera. So just, double tap it, get your camera up, and then hit record. And then, so it'll be facing toward you. And just look ahead while you're driving. Safety is paramount. Don't hit a deer. And just start talking about whatever idea hits you in that moment while you're driving. Because the cool thing is the combination of the music and the motion will energetically unlock something awesome in you that's just been sitting there waiting to come out. That's the key. That's the golden ticket.
Because you can help me, and you're helping me with a lot of thought ideas here. I think I told you off the air, but my problem is when I write something down, I can't read it, So, but I guess that's the idea of the camera. You just read into the whatever you're taping you. Let me ask you this: in terms of once you come up with an idea or a joke, do you then run it by other people, or do you run it by your wife?
God forbid. If I run it by anybody, they will take a sledgehammer to it. And my wife has a great sense of humor, so I don't mean that in any disparaging way. Plus, I like sleeping in my bed more than the couch. But at the end of the day, it's your creativity is yours and it's your baby. And so I would say protect it as much as you can. Put it out into the world in its purest form. So think of yourself as an artist. Think of yourself as a chef. Think of yourself as any kind of creative. Whenever you're creating something in the written form, get it out in as raw a version as you possibly can. Now, the only thing this would not apply for would be a full-on book, because that you have to tighten it up. You have to make sure the grammar is right and the proofreading and all these different things have to happen. But even with a book, and this is, and I deviate tremendously from the norm on this. So I'm not saying this is great advice. It's just how I roll. I personally do not believe in book editing for a work of fiction. And frankly, not even for a book, a nonfiction. I've written both, and because I believe that what's coming directly from the author is the purest expression of what is trying to be communicated, be that the story and the characters or the message behind what the author is trying to convey. When the minute you get, now I think now when I say don't edit it, you should always have a proofreader. You should have somebody making sure everything is clean and crisp and actually is proper English, but don't have somebody change the content. Because once another voice gets in there, unless it's a collaboration, it's not your book anymore. And then at that point, whatever you put forward has been watered down, has been diluted. It's not the same. And I'm not saying that great books can't happen, because frankly, most books have gone that direction and many books are fantastic. But if you want the world to truly connect emotionally with what you're trying to get across, the purest, most undiluted form is the best way to go, at least from my perspective.
You're speaking, and it reminds me that I kind of caught a break with my first marriage, my ex, in that if I would tell a joke, she would never laugh. She had, and I think she'd admit she had no sense of humor. And so if she even smiled, Geoff, I had a winner. You know, that was the best thing I've ever come up with. Whereas some other people, you know, I guess you catch a break if they laugh all the time, you know, which my wife tends to now. That's sometimes misleading because you don't know if it's, you know, really good or she's just being helpful to you. You mentioned writing, and that kind of segues into something else I want to discuss with you. And that is, I guess, this book, and I'd ask you to talk a little bit about it, The Path to Perfect,
Yeah, Path to Perfectia. Yep. So well, it's the word perfect with an IA at the end, Perfectia.
Well, even talk to me about the title. How did you come up with that title?
So here's where it gets a little wacky. You ready for this one? This is usually the part of the story where somebody wants to put a straitjacket on me. So this is the fun part. A few years ago, I had what I can only describe as a calling. And it basically told me through all these different synchronicities that started happening that I needed to go to Texas and take a road trip down there. And as I'm taking this road trip, I'm driving over the Mississippi River through the Mississippi Delta. And I have this, what I can only describe as this out-of-body experience. And people describe a near-death experience. This was a near-life experience that makes any sense at all. And it felt very similar to that. I felt disassociated from my body, from my surroundings, from time, space, my sense of self, where I was. Frankly, I have no idea who was driving that car, but I managed to get where I was going 20 miles down the road in one piece. I still have no idea how that happened. And I just felt these, for lack of a better term, these fundamental truths that were coming through about the grand questions. And one word that just kept coming to me was perfectia. I didn't know what this word was. I had no idea what that meant. But perfectia, essentially, as I understood it, was, and everybody has a different word for it. Some call it source consciousness, some call it God, some call it Detroit. Everybody has their own word for it. That's fine. But it basically said, this is it. This is the source of all things, and everything stems from here and flows downstream. So tell a story about these characters that can explain our connection to that through a very relatable story. And then these character names started coming to me. I heard the name Diana, I heard the name Smooth, and I heard all these other names come to me. And then with Blaine, without trying, a story just started to write itself. I sat down and it just started flowing through me. And next thing I know, I'm looking back and who wrote this? Who wrote any of this? And it just kept evolving that way. And then I look back at the book right now and I still have no idea who wrote the book. It's got my name on it, but I couldn't tell you. So it was a wild experience.
Now, folks, by the way, want to get this book, we'll ask you to tell them what's the best bet to get it.
Yep, check it out on Amazon. That's the best way to get a hold of it. And it's available both in Kindle version as well as paperback. I'm actually going to get it converted to an audiobook sometime this year. And the sequel is being released this April, aiming for a date of 4/24/24.
Oh, so you're already in the middle of the sequel?
The sequel's already done. The first draft is completed. So now we're just in the kind of the proofreading phase and the formatting and development phase. But I'm really excited about the sequel, about, you know, where it takes the story from there. But ultimately, these are characters that I became very attached to over time. And at the end of the day, if people ask me, what is the book really about? I say It's about how we show up for each other in the most difficult moments of our lives, and how, despite all the things that we go through in life that just absolutely knock us to our knees and just beat us there, how do we get back up and find joy again?
By the way, I assume that it'll also be available on the website. Again, an autographed copy for you or food
Yes,
for thought. Keep that in mind. You know, if they
absolutely.
want it personal, you'll even describe it for them if they want it. Um, we have the book. Are we eventually going to have the movie or the
We are
TV
definitely
show?
going to have the movie. Actually, already in some conversations with some folks right now about that. So it's, and as you read it, you'll realize it's almost written more to be a movie than a book. The way the scenes are and the way the characters are, and people visualize the scenes more as movie scenes than book scenes, which is fun for me because I've always been a big movie guy.
How long did it take you to write it?
It took me about 6 months to write it, and then it took me about 6 months to write the sequel too.
The so in terms of the other stuff you're involved in, so it seems you're involved in just a couple of different kinds of things. And I wonder, speaking to you, do you ever sleep? You know, it seems, you know, you're doing all these different things. Do you find time to sleep?
Sleeping is in the eye of the beholder. But, you know, the funny thing is, sleeping is actually, it's something I do not struggle with, because I discovered something absolutely wonderful in
Which is
March of 2020, during a time when nobody was sleeping.
right.
And I was going down deep, deep, deep rabbit holes that month. And then my wife looked at me and said, you know, this is not healthy, right? And I said, well, let's not use the word not healthy during March of 2020. But I found this wonderful thing called ZQuil. And then I found ZQuil with melatonin. And once I did that, my body's like, all right, I got it. This is how we sleep again. Beautiful. And I've never
I,
looked back since.
I sometimes use melatonin. It doesn't do that much for me. What was the other thing you use with it?
It's called ZQuil. So ZZZ Quill. So like NyQuil, but with a bunch of Z's instead.
And it works?
Oh, it's fantastic.
Okay.
Swear by it.
It's like NyQuil. Does it knock you out or is it
Knocks you right out. You take it, depending on your metabolism, it'll knock you out within an hour. You'll sleep like an absolute baby.
what all this stuff? And ZQL?
Yep.
Is it what's in it? Is there a
Yeah, I mean,
narcotic or
it depends. So it's the sleeping agent they put in NyQuil
right?
minus the stuff that actually will reduce a fever and help your cough and all that. So none of that's in there. It's just they've taken all the rest of it out. They've just strained it down to the stuff that makes you sleep. And they've made a brand of it now. So now they actually have stuff with the stuff I take, I love. It's got a little bit of melatonin, but it's got ashwagandha in it, which is just a
Right.
wonderful herb. You know, it relaxes you, gets you in a good place, and got a little bit of chamomile and lavender, all the good stuff. Get that nice exhale of life out and just go into doze land and just feel like $1,000,000.
So the reason I ask, Jeff, I always remember that one time I had a bad cold and I was going to be teaching that night and I took some NyQuil. I was like flying in class. You know, it's like I was completely out of it. I said, whoa, I got to be careful about NyQuil. But ZQuil doesn't have the same effect.
Not at all. Not at
Oh,
all. You will have no a lot of people talk about the melatonin hangover the next day. You won't get any of it. You'll wake up feeling refreshed, great. And no, they're not cutting me a check to say this.
okay. Well,
Just in case anyone's wondering. Now, at least not yet.
no, we should talk about it. Or, you know, as I told you, when you get the link, seriously, if you remind me, let's send it to them. And I'll even offer to send it to you if you remind me as completely unsolicited. Let's do that. Okay.
Totally unsolicited. So ZQL, if you're out there and if you want to be an official sponsor of Tonger, there are opportunities
Well,
before you, my friends.
in all seriousness, to play with that, remind me off the air. Let's do that. I'll certainly do that for you as well. Jeff, final question. I love your attitude. I love your smile, and that you have seems like you have a good time in whatever you're doing. How can other people buy into that or get into that? You know, if they're not smiling or happy, any suggestion for that? Buy the book.
Well, yeah, but obviously besides the book and besides playing Tonger, Tonger will make you happy. That is a guarantee, money back, all that kind of stuff. But truly, the express train to finding happiness in this life is to look in the mirror and don't see you. I want you to see that 4-year-old who's trapped in there. That 4-year-old who thought everything was hilarious, who wanted to climb on walls and throw things against walls and eat everything and found everything just joyful. I promise you that 4-year-old's still in there. Now it's been buried under a mountain of trauma and experience and hardship and difficulty and expectations and stories and characters and all these layers like a tiramisu that just stack up and then crush us over time. And we lose connection with that. And that's ultimately where the unhappiness is born from. But if you can just strip those layers away one by one by one by one, you'll realize there was a child who existed in there before all this stuff happened that was so excited and happy to be here. So find one thing, just one thing in your life that lights up that child. Doesn't have to be everything. Find one thing and do that thing a lot, and that will unlock other things. And the more you follow where that child is leading you, the happier you're going to be.
Great advice, man. To wrap up, if folks, again, want to find out more about the book or to find out about you, if they want to contact you we'll go through the list, bar mitzvahs, births, deaths. Have you done obituaries also?
I've done obituaries at a bar mitzvah with a birth and a death at the same time. That was fun. We've done them all. Yeah. Obituaries. I mean, you name it. We also do custom satire. So you want to think about a funny news story you want to do about somebody in your organization or in your family, reach out to us. It can be a breaking news story. We'll do a questionnaire. We'll learn all about it. We'll make it customized. We'll make it fun. We'll put some quotes in there. We'll do a whole thing. It'll be a hoot.
And so the best bet to find out about you, or again, the website is again what?
Absolutely. So if you want to reach out to me directly, do so at Geoff@winningwit.com. That's GEOFF at WINNINGWIT.com. Reach out to me directly. Our site, thedailystuffing.com, will be up and running in mid-April. So that will have all the information about all the satire that we do, about sports, about society, about international stuff. We have a video series on there too called Joey the Mets Fan's Meditations. And it's about a spiritual guru named Joey. And he's talking about the unified field. He's, all the things we're doing over here. At the end of the day, you got to connect with the Shosh consciousness. Very important. So it's a lot of stuff like that to make you laugh, but also make you think and help you come back home to your own soul. And then we have a Tonger page right on there, along with events, Tonger events that are coming to a town near you. So bookmark it, check us out, thedailystuffing.com. We will be live in April. And if you want to get on our list for our grand announcement, again, reach out to me, Geoff@winningwit.com. We'll make sure you're on our email list. We won't spam you. It'll be daily hilarity. Not as great as Blaine's, because nothing's as great as Blaine's, but it'll be awesome.
And it seems to me that that's going to be the solution to everything. You don't have to go to other websites. You don't have to go to anywhere else. Just stay at your website. You're going to be all set. Geoff Woliner, I'd like to thank you for being my guest on this edition of the Blaine's World webcast. Also, like to thank my producer, Cappy Tassetti, and hopefully we'll someday get to actually meet in person. That'd be great.
Absolutely. Blaine, it's been my pleasure. I want to give a shout out to Cappy. Thank you so much for putting this whole thing together, and a shout out to Dawn for arranging this wonderful rendezvous here. Dawn, I love you. You're the best.
Okay, and I agree. Thanks, man. Speak to you soon.